we were studying verse number 121 in this book, The Quintessence of Vedanta, on the topic of giving up of pride. This is one of the 18 disciplines that Shankaracharya had earlier enumerated, by the practice of which one is assured of serenity, peace, lasting peace. The 18 disciplines are, to recapitulate, first of all, Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is purity, internal purity of the mind. Ahimsa is non-injury, treating all other beings as one's own. Now, not engaging in any kind of thought or action or speech which may cause the least discomfort to another being, not only human being, but to animals and even to inanimate objects, because the same universal consciousness is vibrating throughout the universe. The next one is compassion, daya, treating all other beings as one's own, being gentle and kind to all beings. The next one was uprightness or guilelessness, coordinating the speech, action and thought, making sure that they are all integrated. That is uprightness. Otherwise, if a person says something by speech which is different from what that person has in mind, and does something else which is different from both what was spoken and what was thought, then it is not uprightness. That is not conducive to purity and peace. The next discipline was intense dispassion towards all objects of enjoyment, because no matter how attractive these objects and experiences may appear at first sight, they all have some limitation. They are all limited in the time dimension. They are transitory, because any experience or object that is acquired is sure to be lost. Secondly, all these objects and experiences that give us pleasure have a qualitative drawback. They all come in a composite package. Every pleasurable experience is invariably accompanied by some pain, which may or may not be apparent at first sight, but it is always there. Just as behind every rose there is a thorn, behind every light there is a shadow, behind every pleasurable experience there is some pain associated with it. Shaucha is purity, is the next discipline. Purity of the body and one's own positions and surroundings, the place in which one lives and works. Purity of speech, telling the truth, and purity of the mind, only keeping good thoughts, pure thoughts, noble thoughts in one's mind, not harboring unworthy thoughts. That is all-round purity by thought, word and deed. The next discipline was humility, not being proud. Eighth one was truthfulness, satya. This is a very important discipline. Sri Ramakrishna said that truthfulness is the discipline for this age. The next one was non-attachment. Attachment means considering something as somebody as one's own and pinning all one's hopes on that one person or object, which is sooner or later bound to go or change. Undue attachment should be given up. Next one was steadiness, stairya. If we undertake an endeavor, we have to see to its completion by diligence. If we give up in the middle before the goal is reached, then we will not be able to achieve anything. The next discipline was absence of egoism. The next one was spending one's time in thinking about the ultimate reality. Ishvara Dhyana Parata. The ultimate reality can be conceived in the form of a personal God, a chosen ideal, or it may be an impersonal reality, a supreme reality, Brahman, or the self. But one has to constantly keep one's mind on this highest goal, regardless of what one is doing in terms of daily life and activity. The next discipline was love of holy company. So, we will now start the 11th one, giving up of pride. And then we'll continue the remaining 6 or 7 disciplines, as many of them as we can discuss tonight. This is verse number 121. We'll read the verse and then the translation. Vidyaishwarya taporupa kulavarnashramadivihi sanjataham kritityagas vabhimana visarjanam. 121. After abandoning all such egoism, which is born of extraneous factors, with the senses restrained from the pursuit of external objects, one should unify the faculties of body, mind and intellect. The next quality is that one should give up all self-conceit. The absence of egoism means the giving up of all pride, whether it be due to one's book learning, scholarship, wealth, the practice of spiritual austerity, or having good looks, a noble lineage, and a high station in life. Regardless of the source of excellence or perceived excellence, one should give up this pride in one's own self. This is a very important discipline. Shankaracharya, in his famous hymn known as the Bhaja Govinda Stotram, has a very beautiful couplet where this truth has been brought out forcibly by him in a couple of lines. Shankaracharya says, Ma kuru janadhana yauvana garvam harati nimeshat kala sarvam maya mayamidam akhilam hitva brahmapadam tvam pravisha viditva. Shankaracharya is saying, Ma kuru janadhana yauvana garvam. Garva means pride. Don't be proud of your wealth. Dhana, jana, retinue. You have a lot of friends. You know people in high positions. You have direct access to the president of the company or of the country. The power that one gets by knowing people, commanding influence, that is janabala. Yauvana, youth. Youth is a very transitory thing. The body is subject to deterioration, and sooner or later it is going to become weak. So why be proud of one's youth? Everybody will go through youth, and then everybody will go through middle age, and then old age, and someday the body will cease to function. This is the natural law. No one is an exception to this one. And all of these stages are temporary stages. So why be proud of one stage of your life, as if youth will always be there for just one person and everybody else is going to grow old? That is not the case. So there should not be any pride because of one's youth. Shankaracharya says, Harati nimeshat kala sarvam. Nimeshat, in the twinkling of an eye, sarvam kalaha harati. Everything time can take away. Kala means also the god of death or time. In the twinkling of an eye, enormous wealth can be lost. In an accident, life can be lost. Person is alive now, in the next moment, the person is dead. Beauty can be lost. Everything can be lost in the twinkling of an eye. So there should not be any pride because one has these things in his or her possession. Maya mayamidam akhilam hitva. All of this is illusory. This is not real. This is like a dream. But it appears to be real. Just as a dream appears to be real as long as we are experiencing the dream. As long as the dream lasts, it is real. Only retrospectively, when we wake up into the waking state, from the dream state, we can say retrospectively that what I experienced in the dream was not real. So we are experiencing reality now. But if we wake up into a higher state of consciousness, then we can say that this waking state, the so-called waking state experience, was not real. It was just like a dream. We cannot say that now. To us it appears very real right now, because we are in that state of consciousness. So our effort should be to raise ourselves to a higher state of consciousness, when we can look back and say, the whole life was just like a dream. Unnecessarily I worried myself and gave trouble to others, and it was not worth. I could have simply remained calm. Had I only known that this was not real, I would not have bothered so much about the events in life. That awareness will come later, but our effort should be to gain that awareness. Until then, we just have to hold these experiences in abeyance, without reacting too much in either direction. Maya mayamidam akhilam hitva, by controlling the impulses to react to all of these experiences that come to us in our daily life, good experiences and bad experiences. Brahma padam tvam pravisha viditva. Know this to be not absolutely real. This is a relative reality. Real as long as the experience lasts. Brahma padam tvam pravisha. Enter into that higher consciousness, Brahman consciousness, when only existence, knowledge and bliss absolute remains. All of this will vanish, just like dream vanishes when we wake up. We no longer experience the things in a waking state, the things that we experienced when we were dreaming. In the same way, all of this experience in the relative world we are undergoing now will disappear when we awaken ourselves into the higher state of consciousness. So all our efforts should be directed into that process of awakening into Brahman consciousness. That is what we should be doing in our lives, if we have to make our human birth fruitful. So that is what Shankaracharya is saying. Pride should be given up. In Sanskrit language, the word for ego is aham. Aham means I. Ahankara means the I consciousness. This is a very elusive thing, very difficult to define this I consciousness. If you look at it closely, it really does not exist. But it exists because we are experiencing the effect of the I consciousness. Every moment of our life we are aware of the I consciousness. The feeling that we as an individual are separate from everybody else and from everything else in this universe. That feeling of separation, individualization of this entity is there. But if you really look at it, it is not there. Sri Ramakrishna gave the example of peeling an onion. If you take an onion and start peeling off the layers one after another, nothing will be left because the whole thing will disappear. So our human personality is like an onion. It is made up of layers. These layers are nothing but ignorance, made up of ignorance. Upadhi, this is the word in Sanskrit. Upadhi means adjunct. We have assumed these adjuncts and we have created a personality and we have given it a name and we have assigned so many attributes to that one. I am such and such a person. My name is so and so. I have this degree. I have that position. I have so much money and wealth. I have this many number of cars. All of these are adjuncts. I have this much of scholarship. I know these many languages. I know all the high people in good position, powerful position. All of these are adjuncts that we have put together in order to create this human personality. A nice image has been made And this image is simply made up of these adjuncts, which are upadhis. And one by one we have to remove this one. Then what is left is pure consciousness. Because around pure consciousness, this human personality is projected. So we have to go from the projected personality into the substratum, which is the only real thing, the pure consciousness. That is what Shankaracharya meant when he said, Brahmapadam tvam pravisha viditva, attain to that Brahman consciousness by giving up attachment or identification with this personality, the so-called personality. So that is the feeling of I consciousness, the feeling that makes us feel as if we are a separate, isolated, independent entity in the universe. This is the conditioning that we have been subject to for a long time from infancy. So it is very difficult to get rid of this. No matter how much we argue, reason about it in our minds, the feeling of I consciousness comes back to us. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of a peepal tree. A small tree sprouts in a wall or in a well. And then when it is very small, a sapling, you just remove it because you don't want the tree to grow there. It will be detrimental to the structure, to the well or to the building if the tree grows in that position. So you don't want the tree there. You just cut it out. The root remains. The root is inside. And after a few days, slowly this sprout comes up again. From where? You wonder. I just removed the whole thing the other day. Again the tree is coming. The I consciousness is like that. We argue, we reason, and we try to analyze and negate the I consciousness. But somehow, unbeknownst to us, it will slowly crop up in our minds. So that is very difficult to get rid of it. That is why Sri Ramakrishna said, since it is very difficult to totally get rid of this I consciousness, why not let it remain as the servant I or as the devotee I? By which he meant, since it is difficult to get rid of this I consciousness, the feeling of separateness, individualization, we can remain as individuals in a better position. We can assume the role of a devotee of God. God is the superior, the all in all, the all powerful, the creator, and we are his created beings. So we love God, or we can look upon ourselves as children of God. God is our father, God is our mother. I am his child, I am my mother's child. So I love my mother, I love my father. So in those attitudes, with those attitudes we can retain the I consciousness. Keeping the I consciousness, assuming the role of a child or of a servant is not detrimental. In fact, such an attitude, if nourished, will help us eventually to overcome the I consciousness altogether. So instead of asserting that I am this certain such a person, I am so powerful, I got this and I got that, nobody can beat me in this and that. Instead of harboring such unhelpful thoughts, we can start changing our orientation, our attitude slightly. I can say, yes, I'm still an individual. I'm not giving up this individuality. But I just want to lead my life as a child of a mother or as a servant of the Lord, as Hanuman did. So this reorientation of the I consciousness, continue to retain the I consciousness, but with the attitude of a servant or of a child, is what Sri Ramakrishna suggested. This is very easy to follow, because we are not required to give up anything in this approach. So this is the solution to escape from the tyranny of the mind. Otherwise, it will drag us down and enslave us more and more deeply into the meshes of the relative world. There is no end to the suffering of an egotistic person. So this is Shankaracharya's injunction or exhortation to somehow give up the pride, give up the idea that you are an independent entity, powerful entity. All of that independence, all the power, All the glory that we assume for ourselves really don't belong to us. They belong to only God. We are just mere shadows, pillowcases, as Sri Ramakrishna said. So we have to transfer our consciousness from the limited body-mind complex, which we call the human personality, to the pure consciousness. That is realization of the true nature of self. That is a solution, lasting solution to all the problems. That will give us lasting peace, unalloyed by any kind of pain. That is to be striven for, having obtained this rare gift of human birth. So all of these thoughts are included in this verse of Shankaracharya. The next discipline, the 12th one in the list of 18 disciplines, is called Ishvara Dhyana Parata. This means constant contemplation on the Lord. The verse number 122 runs like this. Tribhishchakaranai samyak dhitva vaishayakem kriyam swatmaika chintanam yattad ishvara dhyana miritam. Shankaracharya is defining what is meant by the constant contemplation on the Lord. The translation of this is like this. After abandoning all such egoism which is born of extraneous factors, with the senses restrained from the pursuit of external objects, one should unify the faculties of body, mind and intellect. To direct one's coordinated faculties to the contemplation of the Atman, the self within, is to contemplate on the Lord. Here, a method that is suggested by Shankaracharya is to withdraw the mind from the external objects, from the pursuit of external objects which are calculated to give us happiness and pleasure. They will not, in spite of the promise. Vaishayiki kriyam means pursuit of external objects and experiences to please the senses. Also the pursuit of name and fame, to the desire to become a very famous person. This kind of pursuit will not give us lasting happiness, because earlier Shankaracharya described how it is futile to depend upon anything that is acquired as a source of happiness. It is logical. If we depend upon something that we do not now have and which we acquire with some effort and hope to derive some pleasure from that acquired object or experience, it stands to reason that anything that is acquired which we did not have before, which we now have, is also likely to go. This is inescapable. Anything that comes has to go in life. So you can think of any source of enjoyment. Wealth, name, fame, physical comforts, companionship of beloved ones, whatever may be the source of enjoyment from which we hope to get some pleasure, is going to give us limited amount of pleasure, limited in time, because it was not there before, and it is bound to go later, sooner or later. And it is going to change even when it lasts. And limited in quality also. Qualitative limitation is inherent in any kind of pleasure that we hope to get from this world. It always comes in a composite package. No matter how attractive the package appears to be at first sight, it is a composite package. That is the nature of this world. Good and bad are inseparably mixed in every experience. We have to be aware of that composite nature of all experiences that this world is going to offer. So, we have to desist from hoping to get lasting peace and happiness from any source that is not inherent to us. Anything that is acquired, anything that does not really belong to us, or that was not with us always, will have this limitation. Time limitation and qualitative limitation, both. That is why in another book called the Vairagya Shatakam, written by Bhartrhari, there is a very interesting verse. I would like to read that one. this verse says that no matter what is the source of enjoyment that one hopes to acquire and become happier, it is inseparably associated with fear. The composite nature of all worldly experiences is brought out very clearly in this shloka of Bhartrihari. It goes like this. Bhoge roga bhayam kule chuti bhayam vitte nripalad bhayam mane dainya bhayam bale ripu bhayam rupe jaraya bhayam shastre vadi bhayam gune khala bhayam kaye kritantat bhayam sarvam mast bhayanvitam bhavindranam vairagyameva bhayam. Bhayam means fear. Fear of loss of anything that is acquired. Bhoge roga bhayam. In physical enjoyment, bhoga means bodily enjoyment. In such an enjoyment, roga bhayam, there is the fear of disease. This is known. Does not require any elaboration. All you have to do is to open any newspaper page and you hear all about the diseases that are rampant because of the desire to get some physical pleasure. Bhoge roga bhayam. That fear of disease is inevitable in any attempt to get bodily pleasure. Kule chuti bhayam. Kula means lineage. Person comes from a very high family and so enjoys a good status in society. But this thing called status is very elusive. It depends upon the people who attach value to that status. Today that person may be held in high esteem in society, and next day that person will be dragged down from the pedestal and nobody will even greet that person. Kule chuti bhayam, the fear of loss of this fame due to noble lineage. Vitte nripalad bhayam. Vitta means money or wealth. If one has a lot of money, there is the fear of the king. Nowadays there is no king, but IRS is the king. If you have a lot of money, if you get say $6 million in the lottery, IRS is on you, is after you. It may go through pleasant means, you may spend it yourself, or it may go in an unpleasant manner. People can snatch it away from you violently. In any case, it is bound to go. Mane dainya bhayam. If a person is enjoying honor, prestige, esteem in society, dainya bhayam, that is also bound to go sooner or later. Somebody else will come and occupy the position. So this person will be displaced. Bale ripa bhayam. Bala means strength. If a person is strong, ripa bhayam, there is always an opponent who wants to take that position. Muhammad Ali, for example, he used to say, I am the greatest like this. But some other person came and he took away that championship. This is short-lived. So if you have a lot of strength, some other person will compete for that position and try to displace you from that position, and then you will not be there any longer. Rupe jaraya bhayam. Rupa means physical form, beauty. Person can be proud of one's beauty and strength. But how long does this last? Wrinkles will come. All the signs of old age will come. Imperceptibly, but definitely. And then someday the youth will have disappeared. Slowly. Old age will come and nobody will pay any attention to an old person, especially in this society. So why be proud of youth? Jara rupe jaraya bhayam. The fear of old age is always accompanies the possession of youth, or good form, beauty. Shastre vadi bhayam. Shastra means scholarship. If a person is a very highly read, great scholar, vadi bhayam. Some other opponent will come and he or she tries to denounce you and bring down your fame a little bit. Gune khala bhayam. Pride due to virtues. I am such a virtuous person. I have done so many philanthropic activities. I have given millions of dollars for this and that, United Way and other associations. All of that will go because some other person is trying to pull you down from that position of prestige. Kaye kratantad bhayam. Kaya means human body. Even the human body, which we are not, it is only our possession. It is a gift which we have to use to awaken into Brahmajnana, to higher consciousness. But the body is not we. If a person has a human body, kratantad bhayam, there is always the fear of death. The god of death is waiting there, counting the days. In the time machine, the seconds are ticking away, and as soon as the allotted quota is over for this body, it is going to cease functioning. This is a certainty that to which nobody is an exception. Some people may die sooner, some may die later, but as long as the body is there, the fear of death is inevitable. Sarvam vastu bhayanvitam bhavindranam. In this world, bhuvi, sarvam vastu bhayanvitam. Everything that we can hope to possess and hope to derive pleasure from, including the body, bhayanvitam, is invariably accompanied by fear. Fear of loss. No matter what it is that you have, it is bound to go someday. Body itself will go. What to speak of other things like money and name and fame? They are so transitory. Then what is one thing in human life which is not accompanied by fear, which if you have, you can be completely fearless? There is no fear of loss of this one thing. What is that one thing? Vairagyameva bhayam. The only thing which is not accompanied by fear of loss is vairagya, renunciation. If you do not attach yourselves to the transitory things of this relative existence, if you somehow keep your consciousness on the reality and develop an utter intense distaste for the transitory things which are of a composite nature, then such an attitude, which is called vairagya, brings joy. There is nothing to lose. The pure consciousness nobody can take away from you. That is our inherent nature. Everything else is not inherent, it is extrinsic. Anything that is extrinsic to us is bound to be lost. Anything that is intrinsic to us, inherent in us, will never be lost. It because that is our true nature. In that there is no fear of loss, because that is our true nature. Vairagyameva bhayam. So this fear is inevitable in all the positions. So Shankaracharya is saying, why spend one's time and energy in acquiring something which we fully know to begin with is not going to give us lasting peace and happiness. Sri Ramakrishna's teachings are very simple on this aspect, on the constant contemplation on the Lord. So I'll read a couple of lines from the sayings of Sri Ramakrishna. When does the attraction of the pleasures of the sense die away? When one realizes the consummation of all happiness and all pleasures in God, the indivisible, eternal ocean of bliss. Those who enjoy Him can find no attraction in the cheap, worthless pleasures of the world. He who has once tasted the refined crystal of sugar candy finds no pleasure in tasting the dirty treacle. He who has slept in a palace will not find pleasure in lying down in a dirty hovel. The soul that has tasted the sweetness of divine bliss finds no happiness in the vulgar pleasures of the world. In our evening prayer, every evening, we sing a song in praise of Sri Ramakrishna. There one line runs like this. Sampada tava Shri pada bhava goshpada variyathai. There we are saying the bliss that we get by taking refuge at your holy feet is comparable to an infinite ocean with no limits at all. Such infinite bliss can be ours if we take refuge at the feet of the Lord. But instead what we are doing, Goshpadavari, we are going after something very trivial. Goshpada is the hoof print of a cow. in the rainy season, when the cows, the cattle walk, they leave hoof prints in the mud. And in that hoof print, a little bit of muddy water gathers, rainwater gathers. And that is comparable to the pleasures of the world. Sampada, all this happiness that this world is ever going to give us is all comparable to that one hoof print full of muddy water. Whereas the bliss of God consciousness is like an infinite ocean. No limit at all. Pure, unallied bliss. We have to try for that. Why try for something which is absolutely trivial in comparison? So, this is what Sri Ramakrishna is saying. The next discipline that Shankaracharya prescribes is love of holy company. Brahmavadbhi sahastitihi. When you read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you will see that many a time Sri Ramakrishna urges devotees, especially householder devotees, to actively seek the company of sadhus, people who have dedicated their lives for God realization, holy persons, because that company is elevating. So Shankaracharya is saying the same thing here in this verse. Chayeva sarvada vaso brahmavidbhihi sahastitihi. To seek the society of the knowers of Brahman and to follow them constantly as a shadow is to seek the company of the holy. Because the company of holy persons is elevating. And we have to try to get the contact with such people. It is true in any field. If you are going to become a lawyer, for example, you seek the company of a good lawyer, experienced person. So you become an apprentice. You watch how that person works and get some training. In the same way, here in our effort to realize the true nature of ourselves, we have to approach someone who has made some progress, and then we can get some ideas, some encouragement when we need that one. So that is the advantage of holy company. Again, I like to read from the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, his teachings on this point, and the value of holy company for spiritual seekers. Milk and water, when brought into contact, are sure to get mixed, and the milk can never be separated again. Similarly, if the aspirant thirsting after self-improvement mixes indiscriminately with all sorts of worldly people, not only does he lose his ideal, but also his former faith and zeal. They die away imperceptibly. Disadvantages of mixing with people who don't share your views. The companionship of the holy and the wise is one of the main elements of spiritual progress. These are Sri Ramakrishna's words. Themselves in the fire kindled by someone else who has taken the trouble of collecting the firewood and other necessary things. Similarly, many fix their mind on the Lord by associating with and following the instruction of holy men who have come to know the Lord after a good deal of hard penance. These people have put in the effort to realize God. So we can take advantage of their effort by associating with such holy people. If a man sees a pleader, he naturally thinks of lawsuits and courts. Similarly, on seeing a pious devotee, one is reminded of God and of the life hereafter. How should one pass one's life? As the fire in the hearth is stirred from time to time with a poker to make it burn brightly and prevent it from going out, so the mind should be occasionally invigorated by the society of the pious. As the blacksmith keeps alive the fire of his furnace by blowing the bellows, so the mind should be kept clean and glowing with the help of pious company. The society of pious men is like the water in which rice is washed. This rice water has the potency of dissipating alcoholic intoxication. So does the society of the pious relieve worldly men. drunk with the wine of vain desires from their intoxication, and so on. So Sri Ramakrishna extols the value of cultivating holy company. We get good vibrations, encouragement, a good example to emulate. If you wash an elephant well and leave it at large, it is sure to make itself dirty in no time. But if after the wash you tie it down in its stable, it will remain clean. So if by the good influences of holy men you once become pure in spirit and then allow yourself to mix freely with worldly men, you are sure to lose that purity soon. But if you keep your mind fixed on God, you will never more get soiled in spirit. So to keep up our spirit, our determination to make progress in this quest for the ultimate realization, to reach the highest goal of human life, we have to seek actively the company of those who are in this line. That is very beneficial to us, and that Shankaracharya is mentioning here. The next discipline is Jnana Shastraika Parata, dedication to the study of scriptures. The verse number 123 reads like this: Yad yaduktam jnana shastre shravanadikamešu yah niratah karmadhihino jnananishthas sayevahi. Translation: to give up the idea that one is oneself the doer and to be ever engaged in pursuing the teaching of the Jnana Shastras is known as devotion to the knowledge of Brahman. Here, two ideas are introduced in this couplet. One idea is karmadhihina, that means the giving up of the doership. What we do is we take upon ourselves the agency of action. We always say, I did this one. Especially if the project is somewhat successful, we are always eager to take credit for that one. I did this one. I taught that man. He didn't know anything. I gave him a lot of money. So this kind of taking upon oneself the credit for activity, the agency for action, should be given up. Because this makes us more firmly entangled in the relative existence. In the ultimate analysis, there is only one doer. And in the Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures, this is brought up very clearly. In the Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna says, Ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate. What is that person who always takes upon the agency for himself, who always thinks that I am the doer? Ahankara vimudhatma. That person who is a foolish person. Vimudha is a foolish person. Ahankara, because of egotism, because of excessive egotism, self-importance, that person always says, I did this one, I did that one, I am the chief boss, and I am the controller, and I am this, I am that. That ascribing your thing to oneself is not really a valid experience, valid thing to do. It's very unhelpful. That has to be given up. Aham karomi iti vrathabhimanaha in the Adhyatma Ramayana. The assertion that I am the doer, aham karomi vrathabhimana, this is just futile vanity that makes a person think of himself or herself as the doer or the agent of action. That agency should be given up. We do only as instruments of the Lord, as He directs us. We cannot do anything by ourselves. The second idea is Jnana Shastre Shravanadikam. We have to study the scriptures. What kind of scriptures we have to study? Not every book is worthy of our attention. There are a lot of books. I'm not talking about fiction. A lot of books on different branches of knowledge. Pursuit of those branches of knowledge is not bound to give us enlightenment. The story behind the famous Bhajagovinda Stotram by Shankaracharya illustrates the futility of pursuing scholarship. The refrain of the Bhajagovinda Stotram goes like this: Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mudamate. Samprapte sannihite kale nahi nahi rakshati dukring karane. Shankaracharya was addressing this stotra, set of teachings, to a person who was committing to memory a grammatical aphorism. The aphorism is dukring karane, the one small rule in grammar aphorism. And this person was repeating that over and over again in Kashi, in Varanasi. And Shankaracharya and his followers were going, and they saw this person spending all his time and energy in committing to memory the rules of grammar. And then they took pity on this person who was wasting away his valuable time, and then said, Mudamate, that person is addressed as a foolish man. Shankaracharya addresses him as a foolish man out of compassion. He just wanted to put him on the right path, wanted to help him. So he says, Mudamate, O foolish man, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. Take the name of Govinda, the Lord. Chant his name and glories unceasingly. Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. Why? Samprapte sannihite kale. When the time comes to give up the body, which is going to come sooner or later, Samprapte sannihite kale. When the time arrives for you to give up the body, then nahi nahi rakshati dukring karane. This grammar aphorism dukring karane, which you are trying to commit to memory, nahi nahi rakshati, it will not save you. All the knowledge of grammar and other branches of knowledge, grammar is only a representative of other branches of knowledge, scholarship. All the scholarship that one can acquire in one's life is not going to save us when the final day arrives. What is going to save us at the last hour? Not the scholarship, not the wealth that we have acquired, not other merits, not anything else we have acquired. The only thing that saves us is our attachment to God. Bhaja Govindam. So this is the background of that one. So, in this verse also, Jnana Shastre Shravanadikam, we have to study those scriptures which give us the jnana, the true knowledge of the self. Not all books, like grammar books and mathematics books, astrology books, astronomy books. These are good for our daily life. We have to practice a profession, get some qualification so that we can lead a useful life. We can arrange our daily life without anxiety. That is not deprecated. But spending all one's time in the pursuit of knowledge and thinking that is the goal of life is misguided effort. So, in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Yajnavalkya, the sage, says this to Maitreyi. If you want to realize God, Atman, your true nature, you have to do three things. One of them is the study of the scriptures, which give us the knowledge of the self. Not all kinds of books like grammar books, but those books like the Upanishads, which give us indications of the nature of the self, supreme self. That is Shruti. Yajnavalkya says to Maitreyi, Atmava are shrotavyaha, mantavyaha, nididhyasitavyo Maitreyi, Atmano va are darshanena, shravanena, matya, vijnanena, idam sarvam viditam. The Atman, the self, has to be heard about. Shrotavyaha. You have to read or hear someone else study in the scriptures like the Upanishads. Mantavyaha. It has to be meditated upon. Nididhyasitavyaha. You have to internalize it. Maitreyi. So, the first stage in our effort to realize our true nature is the study of Shruti, the study of Jnana Shastra, those scriptures which give us the knowledge of the self. That is the first step. So these two things taken together, the study of the scriptures which give us the knowledge of the self and the relinquishing of the doership, these two things are necessary for achieving peace of mind. So, in this way, Shankaracharya continues the presentation of 18 disciplines. We have studied so far 13 disciplines, and we are now studying the 14th one, Jnana Shastrika Parata, dedicated study of the Jnana scriptures. So we shall continue the study of these disciplines next week. The practice of these 18 disciplines is the key to the achievement of lasting peace and joy. Shankaracharya's teachings. So we will continue next week.